This is Mani Karthik here. Welcome to another episode. In this episode, I'm going to share with you some secrets about SEO and blogging. So stick around. Great. So I'm assuming that you're a blogger. You've been blogging for the longest time you can think of, or maybe you started off your blog. Either way, this information that I'm going to share with you will be perfectly useful for you. Let me take a step back. Let me ask you this question. What do you think about SEO? What have you been doing about SEO all these years? Let me take a wild guess. You have a list of keywords for which you are trying to rank for, and you have content for that keyword or keywords. It could be landing pages, it could be your homepage, it could be whatever else. And whenever you try to write a content, whenever you publish a content, you make sure that you optimize that content against those keywords, right? Well, this is what most people do, and this is the problem with SEO. Everybody looks at SEO from a keyword perspective, and what it ends up being is that everybody is trying to pick up the same keywords and produce a bunch of websites or pages against the same keywords. And that is the sad part. For example, if you look into any of the SEO tools out there, SEMrush, Ahrefs, whatever you can think of, if you put in one keyword, let's say for example, credit cards. If you look into that keyword, there's only so many keywords you can think of. Credit cards has probably, 10,000 plus searches a month. There could be other keywords like best credit cards for XYZ, travel credit cards, rewards credit cards, etc. And anybody who searches for credit cards gets to see the same set of keywords. And what happens in the end is everybody, if there's 10 websites trying to fight against these keywords, will produce the same kind of content, the same kind of pages, and will do the same kind of optimization to get on Google's number one result against the same set of keywords. So it's a dog eat dog kind of a situation. Nobody is actually bothered about a very important person here, the actual user, right? Now, let me give you an example to put this in perspective. Let's say you have a website called creditcards.com and you have a landing page that's optimized for best credit cards. So the URL will be something like creditcards.com/best credit cards or best credit cards. Now you have the best content in the world that is perfectly optimized for best credit cards. Now in an ideal scenario, when you have the domain authority and everything else taken care of, what should happen? Your website should be number one on Google. Now, does it happen? Most of the times, no. That's because there's somebody else out there who has sometimes better content, or sometimes is more popular, or sometimes is more linked to from other websites, and he happens to be on number one page. But look at him. He too has the same keyword optimization strategy. He has a URL that has best credit cards in it. His title tag has best credit cards in them, and he has a content that is perfectly optimized for best credit cards. Now, imagine there is another website. Let's say it doesn't have best credit cards on the title. It has maybe credit cards for you or something like that. And the actual content is more catered for somebody who's looking for best credit cards, telling him how to pick up credit cards, telling him what to look for, what not to look for, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, and basically educating him on that process of picking up a best credit card instead of actually showing the best credit cards. You see the difference, don't you? So in these two scenarios, what actually happens is when somebody is searching for best credit cards and assume that site A, which is perfectly optimized for best credit cards, shows up number one on Google, and the other website, which is not perfectly optimized for best credit cards, shows up, let's say, number 4 on Google. Somebody who goes into the first page, looks at it and reads the content and thinks that, okay, this is like an SEO article. There is too many mentions of best credit cards as a word because, for keyboard density, they keep repeating it. And when I read it, I feel bored. The actual content is very dry. So I'm going to hit the back button and go check out if there is somebody else who actually makes sense. And then after checking out 2 or 3 websites, he comes to your website, which is not perfectly optimized for best credit cards, but it has a title tag called how to choose the best credit cards perhaps. And he gets in there and he notices that the content, the copy out there is so much fun, and you have a lot more content that actually educates him on the process. Instead of just showing him the best credit cards, it's actually telling him how to pay the credit cards, what to do, what not to do, what to look for, etc., etc. And he ends up checking out more pages on this website. He ends up spending more time on the website. He ends up interacting with more elements on your website. He probably signs up for your newsletter. He probably clicks through on your Facebook link. He probably goes to your about section. He probably sends an email from the contact us page. All of this happens. And what happens in scenario one? Scenario one, you went to the perfectly optimized website, but the content was dry, so you hit the back button. You only spend maybe 3 or 4 seconds on there. But in scenario two, you had a little less optimized in the typical SEO sense website, and you ended up doing more on that website. So when Google looks at this data, he notices that, wait a minute, the guy on the number one page or the number one result is perfectly optimized for one keyword, but users don't seem to be spending more time on that website. Instead, they're going to page number 4 or result number 4. Maybe I should bump him up. So what Google does over a period of time, it's not overnight, over a period of time, is gradually it bumps up the 4th result into maybe 2 or even the number 1 position, because more people are spending more time on this website. And this is the problem. This is actually what is happening now. Now, the number 1 guy goes complaining, saying that, hey, I had the best keywords, I had the best keyword strategy, I had the perfectly optimized page, Yoast and every other SEO plugin told me that I had an A+ in optimization. I scored a 9 on 10 on different other tools, but Google did something gimmicky and pushed me down. Well, that's not the case. You know why you got pushed down. That's because users don't find your website useful. So my dear friends, today I just wanted to tell you that whenever you think about SEO and blogging, don't choose keywords that has the best or the most search volume and create pages on pages just because you want to rank number 1 for it. Think of the user. So instead of focusing on keyword intent, focus on the search intent, which means think of this guy who's actually searching for these keywords that you picked up, right? So let's say you picked up 5 keywords with 10,000 plus search volume on Google. Think about or make some guesses about why this guy might be searching for these keywords, and think of all those different scenarios that Google don't tell you. Google can't tell you everything. You have to make some guesses. You have to get creative and create web pages for those keywords as well, those assumed keywords or those questions that you're trying to answer. So essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to create an experience that will be satisfying the user instead of just being very specific on keywords, which you're putting too much trust on Google, which is okay, but you have to get creative and do your own stuff. So this is the stuff that you need to do. And whenever I've done this in the past, it's given me more results. It doesn't work overnight. I have to warn you that it doesn't work overnight. It takes a bit of time because Google needs to collect that data by which it notices that you on the second page or the first page, people are spending more time on your website, and that's how you gradually grow up or you climb up the ranks. So it'll take some time, but it'll happen. Once you do that, you're going to sit there solid for a long period of time until somebody else does something more creative. So you get my point there. So takeaway in this video is that don't stick too much to keywords. Don't give them too much importance. Think of the person, think of why this person is searching, think of the problems he might be facing, think of the solutions you can offer him, and create a better experience than your competitors with your pages or your homepage. It doesn't matter how many pages you have, it's all about how much time the guy spends on your website and whether or not he's happy about it. And those metrics is what you need to focus on. Like I mentioned, pages per session, time spent on website, your bounce rate. These are probably the key metrics that will tell you whether your website is useful or not. So focus on that, create such creative pages, and I'm pretty sure that you will make a big difference in your SEO strategy. All right, I hope that made any sense. This is totally from my experience. There is no data validation or any crazy experiment that I've done to prove this. It comes from my experience running different blogs. Try it out and let me know whether this worked or not, whether or not you agree with this or you think the keyword strategy worked. Maybe you're right, maybe I'm wrong, whatever it is. Let me know in comments. I would like to know. This is Mani Karthik, signing off.